We open this episode with a pre-title sequence, not for the first time in the series, but at a crucial time, where the cliffhanger from the previous episode is resolved, although ironically in a rather anticlimactic manner. Of course, this is simply the burden of plot convenience, and the fact that this is episode 5 of a total of 13 episodes for the series, so it's highly unlikely they were going to kill off the Doctor in such a trivial and dissatisfying way. Anyway, somehow the Doctor is strong enough to use his supposedly harmful energy as a method of attack against the Slitheen, and it seems to affect every member of the family because... reasons? This resolution to the cliffhanger has to be one of the weakest of the new series and really doesn't have an ounce of sense about it. How does this energy have the effect? Because for us as the audience, it was explained that the device around the Slitheen's neck was a compression field to help them fit inside the human skin suits, and not something that could be used against them. I've got to say this is pretty poor from RTD. It just all lacks that bit of exposition in the previous episode that could have explained all, but instead it just makes it look like a cheap way to overcome the cliffhanger and indeed the Slitheen threat. Well, until they somehow reverse the effects, that is. However, there are many elements of World War III I really enjoy, and I feel justified in saying that some of Eccleston's finest moments are here in this episode. One of the finest scenes in this episode, and indeed the series as a whole, is the narrows it down.
So, judging by their basic shape, that narrows it down to 5,000 planets within travelling distance. What else do we know about them? Information.
They're green.
Yep, narrows it down.
A good sense of smell.
Narrows it down.
They can smell adrenaline.
Narrows it down.
The peak technology.
Narrows it down.
A spaceship in the Thames use a slipstream engine.
Narrows it down.
Getting in!
Oh, they hunt like it's a ritual.
Narrows it down.
Wait a minute. Did you notice? When they fart, if you'll pardon the word, it doesn't just smell like a fart, if you'll pardon the word. It's something else. What is it? It's more like,
Bad breath.
That's it!
Calcium decay. Now that narrows it down.
Absolutely magnificent in terms of how it's written and executed, in my opinion. I'd argue it's a real highlight from Series 1, and in terms of acting, it is one of Eccleston's finest moments in the role, with the conviction of lines and the pacing of the scene really ramping up the stakes. Penelope Wilton as Harriet Jones is also fantastic in this scene, and in this episode too, and is certainly one of the best characters, not just in this episode, but in the RTD era as a whole. Wilton gives one hell of a performance here. This scene really does highlight her acting range, as she can do the sweeter, innocent moments, such as in Aliens of London. But here we see her as the affirmative, dominant politician that wants to take command, and in terms of her acting, she really does play off Eccleston quite exquisitely. It is also very clear, again, of the impact of the Time War, and indeed the implications it has upon the Doctor. This is most evident in the scene when he is on the phone to Jackie. It must be added that, again, Eccleston is on top form in this scene, and tells her straight that he can save the world, but we would be putting Rose at risk. For me, this not only highlights the Doctor's character as a whole perfectly, but Eccleston's Doctor too. He has already lost so much, and he feels he simply cannot be allowed to make the choice to do it again. It's such genius stuff from RTD. One of my favourite moments of the episode, however, is the phone call between Rose and the Doctor at the end of the episode, where Rose...
My mother's cooking.
Good. Put her on a slow eat and let her simmer.
Which is excellent writing, and it's the type of wit we know RTD is capable of, and he certainly shines within moments of comedy such as this. I also really love the aesthetic choice to include a TARDIS phone symbol on Rose's phone. Where can I buy it? One final positive element that needs to be commended in this episode is the set design. One section I draw reference to specifically is Mickey's bedroom wall, where we witness firsthand his obsession with UFOs and aliens, even a really awesome drawing of a TARDIS. It's intricacies like this that make this era of the show that bit more brilliant than many give it credit for. Talking of Mickey, there is a great exchange between him and the Doctor later in the episode. Here the Doctor asks whether Mickey would like to join him and Rose in the TARDIS, with Mickey declining, but what follows is fantastic. Instead of the Doctor telling Rose that Mickey declined his offer, he instead plays it off as not accepting him on board. This really highlights and foreshadows the development that has occurred and is yet to come between the two of them, and it just highlights RTD's speciality of character moments such as these. One real problem early on in the episode, nevertheless, is the really dodgy CGI when the Slitheen run down the corridor in pursuit of Rose and Harriet. As a scene, it seemed really unnecessary and would have totally improved if they had just had the guys in the costumes running after them instead. Just a poor choice. Indeed, all of the following searching and seeking the Slitheen do seems like it is simply there to allow the Doctor to get there and save them, and is just there to pad out the plot further. An equally goofy moment is when we see the Doctor escape in the lift, even though the soldiers catch up to him and enclose him easily. Miraculously, the lift arrives, and down to the powers of the sonic screwdriver and magic itself, the door immediately closes, and even though the soldiers could easily grab him, it seems a bit ridiculous to me. Another real problem I have with this episode is how Mickey is now a top hacker, with the acquisition of one simple password from the Doctor being enough to unlock everything. It is also extremely ludicrous that it takes one simple fire button to set off a rocket that would destroy Downing Street. Really? It is simply very lazy writing from RTD and is shoehorned into the story as a way of concluding the plot easily. Totally not convincing. Overall, despite many regarding this episode and indeed the two-parter as a whole as one of the weaker of the revival series, I must admit I really enjoy them. Although most of the plot is very convenient and is all wrapped up rather easily, I think Murray Gold's music, the comedy and mockery of the UK government makes this one of the most enjoyable two-parters since the show returned in 2005, and is a story I often find myself revisiting. Even though there are many faults with this episode, it is still very strong, and therefore I feel justified in awarding Aliens of London an 8 out of 10 and World War III an 8.5 out of 10.